religion for a very long time. In most of those places where Muslims live as a minority, nowadays they experience difficulty because of the rise in animosity towards them by other religious groups, irrespective of which one, all of them. Muslims are under the attack by Hindus, Christians, Jews, Buddhists, and even atheists for being who they are. Everything that Muslims believe, do, or practice is seen as a problem. Woman's headscarf is a problem. Man's beard is a problem. Masjid architecture is a problem. Call for prayer is a problem. Muslim dietary regulations and restrictions, problem. Various Muslim cultural norms, problems. Muslim religious law, problem. Muslim family structure, problem. And even when Muslims have children, that is seen as a threat and as a problem. If we take it to the next level, we have to say that very often some groups, especially in the so-called West, criticize Muslims for lack of political involvement in democracy, because some Muslim scholars argue that Muslims should not participate in democracies because of the hierarchies that democracies prioritize, and then Muslims are seen as the problem because they have authoritarian tendencies, and these tendencies are incompatible with modern values and often branded as not even patriotic. However, when other Muslims decide to take other approach and take part in democracy and start forming political parties and try to nominate and nominally promote democracy, but actually and try to promote democracies and try to activate Muslims to take part in the democratic process for the purpose of moving societies forward the way Muslims believe it is the best way to do so, then again, Muslims are seen as a threat and as a problem, because at that point Muslims want to take over and they want to impose their political positions. So if you step back and look at all these problematic issues that Muslims are being criticized and accused of, it looks like the very existence of Muslims is the biggest global problem nowadays. So forget about global warming, just the Muslims themselves is actually the biggest problem. How often you hear about global warming? Not very often, but Muslims are constantly seen as a problem. All of these attitudes toward Muslims is a global phenomenon nowadays. All of us Muslims do not feel the consequences of such attitudes and antagonisms the same way. Some Muslims experience more pressure and existential threat than do other Muslim groups. In those places around the world where Muslims are minorities, those pressures are nowadays unbearable. From India, Kashmir, China, Europe, Africa, even America, Muslims are having very, very hard time, and they live very much under huge pressure, not being able to exercise their normal citizens' rights, often not even their human rights. So what about those places in the world where Muslims are majority and where they live in their lands and are ruled by those who are Muslims? At least that's what we believe they are. Things are not better there either. So tonight we gathered here to talk about one of such places where Muslims try to rise their heads and take active role in the government and do what they believe is the best to do. We are talking about our Muslim country of Egypt. In 2011, our Muslim brothers and sisters in Egypt took part in a democratic process over there and elected Dr. Muhammed Morsi to be the president of that country. After only 1 year, he was deposed through a military coup with the tacit approval of the world, including all those democratic countries who nominally promote democracy but actually remain silent when democracies in Muslim countries are being overtaken by military coups. Why? Considering the atmosphere, I can only conclude it is because in those countries, Muslims choose who they recognize as their sons and daughters to lead them out of the difficulties in which we are now. We want to honor. This is why today we want to honor the great sacrifice by our Muslim brother, Dr. Muhammed Morsi, who sacrificed his life for what he believed to be the best for people of Egypt. Regardless of our political persuasion and regardless of our approach to this kind of difficult issue for us Muslims, we have to acknowledge his sacrifice and ultimate, I believe, a victory in his struggle to improve the lives of the Muslims. What we can also say that whenever Muslims have a chance to decide, they choose those who advocate for more freedom for Muslims to live and exist freely in their religion across the world and in Egypt as well. But that process of providing betterment for people is abruptly stopped in Egypt, and as a consequence, the entire region of Middle East and North Africa is suffering great instability and uncertainty. This is why we met today, to try to understand what happened to us Muslims. We want to talk about it in this way, publicly, in our own spaces, and try to understand by ourselves what happened and what is happening to us. This is critically important for Muslims, especially for the Muslims in the West, to reclaim our experiences and our spaces, to own them in every sense of that word. So this is why I actually invited, some of the representatives of our local Muslim organizations to come and join us and say a few words about this. Say a few words about what we have experienced, what we saw. I will remind you that the president of the country was basically not let to take medicine and let die in a courtroom publicly. This is outrageous. If he was a taxi driver, right, that would be outrageous. But imagine a person who was elected by however many people, and he did not want to negotiate about that aspect, so he won. Now the problem is, what about us? So we will have first few of the local representatives. Before anybody, we will have Brother Samir, who is the president of our Muslim Federation of South Florida. A great effort for us to unite and try to formulate our own responses to everything that is happening to us. I have to say, he's not speaking on behalf of Federation, he's speaking on his own, but he nevertheless wanted to come. Brother Nizar is here also. He's the executive director of Muslim Federation. He will say a few words. We have a representative from regional ICNA, Islamic Circle of North America. We have a representative from the Turkish and Asian community who also decided and wanted to join us and say a few words. And all of you who are very important people, especially in our local settings. I listened to Brother Abu Bakr. He is also going to address us later. Brother Abu Bakr will announce something very important for us Muslims. Yesterday, he says, very good point, that each one of us should be an agent of change. That's what we listen Jummah after Jummah after Jummah. So let's try to be that agent of change. And the first step is to reclaim our space and have this type of discussions here in the masjid publicly. We also have a Brother Sharia who is joining us to represent Salat Afiq, or rather Islamic Foundation South Florida. We have a Brother Muhammad Haji who came from Islamic Center of Boca Raton. We have Brother Ahmad who will speak on behalf of Gage. So several people will say a few words, and then we will have our distinguished guest, Mustafa Hindawi. He's the former head of Finance and Economic Committee of Egyptian Upper House from a Freedom and Justice Party. We have a Brother Khalid Barakat, very big name, Deputy Managing Editor of Al-Ahram newspaper. This is just like a New York Times in Egypt, right? We have Dr. Sameh Al-Sawi. He's a media and communication advisor to Dr. Morsi. Dr. Asif Lukman Qazi will join us from Pakistan. He's the member of the Central Executive Council of Jamaat Islami in Pakistan. And the whole discussions will be led by our very Dr. Ahmed Al-Bandari, who is a very significant person to me, and he will moderate this discussion today, and before that he will give a brief introduction, because we should not assume that we all know what is happening in Egypt and what happened in the past, like 50 years. So we do need that small reminder, and then we'll go into the discussion. So now, without further delay, I will have Brother Samir come and say a few words, and then we can have Brother Amir and ITMA representative Muhammad and others.
Speaking after Brother Masad, so Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So nice to see you all here, and may Allah bless all of you, but especially Brother Masad, for taking the initiative to organize not only this program, but all the programs that I hear about, and I'm so glad to finally be able to come here at the Islamic Center of South Florida. Allah bless the leadership of Brother Mawan and the entire board of ICOSF. Wonderful effort about reclaiming our spaces, as Brother Masad mentioned. Just a few words, I'll just be brief on this topic of Dr. Morsi, Allah bless him. This one moment actually comes to my mind is whenever I think of Dr. Morsi. This moment shook me to the core. When this was the moment when, after this tragic events occurred, as you all know this story, he was forcibly removed from the office, and he was his followers were persecuted. A lot of them were killed and murdered. Even today, I think this persecution continues, and the oppression continues of any political opposition to the current regime in Egypt. But he was taken to this court, right, in Egypt, and he was confronted in the court as if there's some kind of authority confronting him, right? And it's all dunya authority, as we know. And they confronted him. They asked him to answer for his charges. They asked him, identify yourself. He made this statement. He said, "I am Dr. Muhammed Morsi, the President of the Republic. This coup is a crime, and it's treasonous, and this court will be held responsible for it." That statement just shook me, and that to me is that sums up the legacy of this brother Morsi, Allah bless him. Dignity till the very end. Truth in the face of tyranny. Resistance to oppression, and living a life which we, alhamdulillah, we're all here to celebrate that life. And we're all here to honor him, as it was said. And so to me, this is not a defeat. I was just having a conversation. Is this a defeat? It's not a defeat. How can we say this is a defeat? How many times we know our deen, and sometimes we just need to remind, I myself need more reminders than everyone else. The story of Buruj, Surah al-Buruj, ذَلِكَ الْفَوْزُ الْكَبِيرُ, about the death of those people, those believers. This is a victory. Yes, it's in dunya, it's a defeat, but that's just dunya. In the grand scheme of things, inshallah, Allah, this is a victory for Dr. Morsi, and we hope that we can have some small opportunity to leave, some kind of legacy like he did. His legacy, again, that statement sums it up. He lived a life of courage. He lived a life of principle, and he upheld, the most sacred values. He learned our deen. He learned, the dunya. He had, I think, degrees in science as well. So he was very balanced. He wanted a better future for his people, for the people of Egypt. He believed in this future. He believed in the right of the people of Egypt for self-determination. And he did not waver from that belief, even in this face of tyranny. So now, again, this is, some people talk about this, it's like hope is, again, washed away. Hope was gone for decades. It was in this abyss, in this slumber, for decades, year after year, decade after decade in Egypt. Finally, this revolution came, and hope, sprung up, and now it's there, and now it's gone again. But the fact that, alhamdulillah, you are all here, we're all here, celebrating his life, honoring him, that to me is a clear symbol that hope is never gone. Hope is real, hope is always there. The question is, what are we going to do? What are you and I going to do with it? Was everyone in here, I challenge all of you, like I think Brother Masad said, What will we leave behind? Like Dr. Morsi, he left something behind and we are all celebrating today. What will we leave behind? Let's all challenge ourselves. Let's take this opportunity while we're recognizing his life, celebrating his life. Let's learn from it. Let's make sure we do not lose this opportunity we are in right now. Look at this beautiful facility. Look at all of you here, all of us here. The sky is the limit in America for Muslims. We have made some progress, yes. I don't want to undermine anything we have done. We have built beautiful institutions like this one. We reclaim them, we make them active like this one. And again, Allah bless all the efforts that are happening here and throughout South Florida. We have built free clinics. We have built food pantries, and we're feeding, IFSF, we're feeding the hungry all throughout, the Tri-County region. Wonderful. We can't stop. This is great, but we never, just like businesses, corporations, they never rest on their laurels from last year or last decade. You can't do that. It's not going to work. You've got to keep moving on, keep the momentum. We have a long way to go, but inshallah, we have a start. Let's make sure we move ahead. We can, like I said, the sky's the limit. Let's build our institutions of higher learning. Where are they? Very few. How many universities do we have in America? Can we build them? Yes, we can right now. We have the freedom to do so, alhamdulillah. In some other even Muslim countries, they don't have that. We have the freedom here. Have we done it? We haven't done it. The most downtrodden neighborhoods we have in all of our cities in each county. Why don't we go in there? Why don't we go into places where no one else will go? Why don't we go and meet those people and the weak and oppressed here in America, our neighbors, and go and help them and show our care for them. Give them the message. Give them the dawah through our action and through our words. Let's do that. And then inshallah we can leave our own legacy. And inshallah, someday we hope Allah facilitates this for us, that someday there will be a similar gathering like this and talk about the legacy of Muslims in South Florida, maybe 50 years from now. That they did this, and that's why my son was able to go to an Islamic university right here and learn his deen and learn the science, and he's successful, and he has been an instrument of good in the society for not just Muslims here, but all individuals, all our fellow countrymen here in our country. So no one can stop us, and if they do stop us, we can respond in the same way Dr. Morsi responded. We can say that we have the right to be here. We are American Muslims. We have freedom of religion, and we are praying to our God. We are fasting. We are caring for the needy. We are looking after our neighbor. That's what we're about. We're not about anything else that they're trying to say about us. So I think I'm out of time, and Allah again bless all of you, and may Allah bless Dr. Morsi and give him the highest of rewards. May Allah bless us all, and may Allah help us leave our own lasting legacy for our children and our grandchildren, inshallah. May Allah bless Dr. Morsi, give him the highest reward, and may Allah bless all the people of Egypt and all of the suffering throughout the world. Ameen.
Thank you, Brother Samir. So, Brother Nizar wants to also say a few words. Then we'll have a few more things. Let's try to keep it brief so that we have this healthy kind of discussion with our distinguished guests.
بسم الله الحمد لله الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وأشهد لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمد رسول الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I am in no way, shape, or form qualified to speak on the beloved Dr. Morsi. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him. However, I would like to take this opportunity to remind all of us of our opportunity here. And inshallah, we can use some of the lessons that we learned tonight that I'm looking forward to learning tonight about what happened to Dr. Morsi, about what's happening to Muslims here in the U.S. Alhamdulillah, the South Florida community is very diverse and very unique. We have probably one of the most talented, the most resources that I've seen in this entire country, and I've traveled quite a bit. And the potential that I see for this community, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. But to look inside of all of us, to understand that Allah has promised us, if we don't change ourselves, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not change our path, will not change our future. All of us serve in our individual capacities. I was speaking to the past chair of the Federation, Brother Abu Bakr, and the biggest opportunity that I see that we can learn inshallah tonight, and hopefully learn valuable lessons, is how do we work together? how do we actually work together? Individually in this society, our masjids have grown individually. Our organizations have grown individually. Our business owners have grown individually. But wallahi, I believe, I've seen, we want to work together. We have the desire to strengthen the ummah of our beloved Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But we don't know how. The biggest opportunity that I see is, unfortunately, we have a lot of people that are the wait and see. Let's wait and see what happens. Huh? Let's wait and see what happens. And what this does is it slows our growth down. It makes our talent, it slows everybody down. And the best is that they don't have their foot forward. This is one of the biggest problems that I see. We have too much. Let's wait and see what happens. We don't need any more. Let's wait and see. What we need are people that say, you know what, you're right. This is what I can do. This is how I can empower the community. And this is what I'm going to do. My resources, my time, my talent, my business, together. So inshallah, I am looking very forward to this discussion tonight so I can learn, so we all can learn. And alhamdulillah, thank you for your time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
All right, thank you. So you see, this is fruitful effort we're doing. Inshallah, we'll continue. I have to honor our distinguished guest, His Excellency Consul General of Turkey. As always, he's there to support us, and we very much appreciate it, and we very much acknowledge that, right? This is, like I said before, amazing concept. Muslim leaders serve Muslim community, which is kind of unusual, right? Brother Amar will come and say a few words about Engage. Yes, this has a little political taste into it, but don't forget, I have a PhD in political science, and I know that this is all right to do in the masjid. So, contrary to popular belief, we are allowed to speak about issues that we care about.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. The energy's a little low. I know the topic isn't a very happy topic to discuss someone's death, but alhamdulillah, we're in such a blessed gathering, in a blessed space, and mashallah, we have such titans of the community. It is an honor to be speaking in front of Dr. Ahmed, to be speaking in front of IGNO leadership, and all the great people that made this event happen tonight. So I'm going to try that one more time, and inshallah there'll be a little bit more energy in the room. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah. I knew the energy was there. You just had to lift up the spirits a little bit. So I'm not Egyptian. I don't have the right pigmentation. I'm clearly Pakistani, but that's okay. At the end of the day, we are Muslims, and Egypt is the mother of civilizations. And so we care for this country, and we love this country as our own. And so how do we show our love and appreciation for the sisters and brothers of Egypt? Is by holding the current administration accountable for the atrocities and for the crimes that are being committed to our sisters and brothers. Brother Mirsad, mashallah, invited a few months ago, a little bit before Milan, a representative of the Uyghur Muslim community. And we met with congressional officials here locally in South Florida, and we met once more in Washington, D.C., and alhamdulillah, that bill is making traction, that bill is making movement. And we could do something similar if we galvanize our efforts to say that American tourists are visiting Egypt. They are contributing to that country's economy, and there are gross human rights violations that are taking place. And we need to hold the Egyptian government accountable if they would like to keep on receiving our tourist and American dollars. Because when America speaks, the world listens. In this democratic system, it's a system of input and outputs. It's a Greek word, demos meaning people and krasi meaning rule, the people's rule. Abraham Lincoln said it best, government of the people, for the people, by the people. In this masjid, we are the people. And we just have to carry our voice on a unified front to the powers that be here. And inshallah, we will. Through the help of the Federation, through the help of the brothers at Ikna, through the help of the brothers at Mass, through the help of the brothers at this very masjid, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Brother Mehmet, you want to kind of come and speak, you say a few words, and then we'll have, I guess we should stop, right, with this introduction, maybe Ikna also to say a few words, because it's a national organization. But we do acknowledge that, mashallah, these several masajid came and joined us in this event, even from Miami Masjid, right? Alhamdulillah, that's very nice. It's not often seen. So let's have a brother Ahmed say a few words, and then brother, my most favorite brother from Pakistan, say a word, and then inshallah we can kind of have this discussion with our distinguished guests.
Assalamu alaikum. This is my name is Muhammed Morsi Saturday. I represent the Turkish American Religious Foundation in the state of Florida. We are talking about Dr. Morsi. I was in Cairo in 2011. It was between November and December. I worked on a project. So when he was in power, I was there. It was a good Cairo. Egypt was booming. But this was the year that actually he came to power. And 2 years later, in 2013, he was brought down forcibly. And his ruling, when he was in power, it was the country was moving towards a more Muslim ruling and a just ruling. And he was brought down 2 years after. In 2002, the president, Erdogan, the president of Turkey, the current president of Turkey, came to power. 2002, and in 2002, he received the first memorandum from the military in 2007, just 5 years after. It was the first coup attempt. In 2013, there was another coup attempt. This time it was judicial. And 2016 was the bloodiest one, which Monday will be the anniversary of it, 15th of July 2016, which that day I was in Turkey also. So what does that tell you? When there is a Muslim government, a just Muslim government, will be, unfortunately, subject to a coup or forcibly removal from power. So as a community, we need to be smart, we need to tread smart, we need to be smart about everything. And I don't want to take much more of your time, and we have experts lined up. I'll be happy to listen to them, and let's all learn something from this. Thank you so much.
But I said,